Story 1. The old gas station stood alone on a desolate stretch of road, its worn-out sign creaking in the wind. The flickering fluorescent lights cast an eerie glow on the cracked pavement, adding to the foreboding atmosphere. It was a place forgotten by time, a place where nightmares seemed to come alive. Jake, a weary traveler, pulled his car into the dimly lit gas station. The pump let out a loud screech as he inserted the nozzle into his tank. He glanced around, feeling a chill crawl up his spine. The air was heavy with an unnatural silence, broken only by the distant howl of the wind. As Jake finished refueling, he stepped out of the car and approached the station's small convenience store. The door creaked open, revealing shelves lined with dusty products and a pale-faced attendant behind the counter. The man's eyes held a haunted look, as if he had seen things that no one should. Evening, Jake greeted, trying to mask the unease in his voice. The attendant nodded, his voice barely a whisper. Evening. Be careful, stranger. This place has a way of changing things. Jake shrugged off the cryptic warning, attributing it to the man's evident eccentricity. He walked down the narrow aisles, the flickering fluorescent lights casting unsettling shadows on the peeling wallpaper. The air smelled of mildew and decay, making his stomach churn. As he selected a few snacks, he heard a strange noise coming from the back of the store. It was a low, guttural growl, accompanied by the clattering of cans. Curiosity got the better of him, and he ventured towards the source. The backroom door creaked open, revealing a sight that sent a shiver down his spine. The room was filled with cages, each holding a grotesque creature. Their eyes glowed with an otherworldly intensity, and their snarling mouths revealed rows of razor-sharp teeth. Jake stumbled backward, his heart pounding in his chest. "WH, what are these things?" he stammered, fear gripping his voice. The attendant's eyes darted nervously. "They're experiments, failed experiments. The owner of this place, Mr. Foster, he got too curious, tried to create something unnatural." Jake's mind raced as he realized the extent of the horror that surrounded him. He needed to leave, to escape this nightmarish gas station. But as he turned to make his way back to the entrance, he found the door locked. Panic set in, and he began pounding on the glass, desperate to break free. A pale-faced attendant appeared behind him, a grim expression on his face. "You shouldn't have come here. None of us can leave. We're trapped in this place." Jake's heart sank. He had stumbled into a trap, a place where nightmares became reality. His mind raced, searching for a way out. Then an idea struck him. The creatures in the cages, they were Mr. Foster's failed experiments. Maybe, just maybe, they held the key to his escape. With trembling hands, he reached into his pocket and retrieved the key he had picked up earlier. He approached the nearest cage and hesitantly unlocked it. The creature inside snarled, its eyes narrowing with suspicion. Jake held his breath, unsure of what would happen next. To his surprise, the creature lunged at the pale-faced attendant, tearing into his flesh with its sharp teeth. The other creatures followed suit, creating a chaotic frenzy in the back room. Amidst the chaos, Jake found an opportunity to slip through the unlocked back entrance and flee into the night. He ran, his lungs burning with exhaustion, adrenaline propelling him forward. The night air felt crisp against his skin as he sprinted away from the gas station, desperate to put as much distance as possible between himself and the horrors he had witnessed. As he continued running, Jake's mind swirled with questions. How had Mr. Foster managed to create those abominations? And what had driven the pale-faced attendant to warn him and then betray him? The gas station was more than it seemed, a place of dark secrets and twisted experiments. After what felt like an eternity, Jake finally stumbled upon a nearby town. He collapsed on the sidewalk, gasping for breath and thankful to have found sanctuary from the nightmare he had escaped. As he caught his breath, he decided he needed to alert the authorities about the horrors he had witnessed. Entering a local police station, Jake found himself face to face with a skeptical officer named Detective Anderson. He recounted the terrifying events that unfolded at the gas station, fully expecting the officer to dismiss his story as a delusion or a prank. However, to his surprise, Detective Anderson's expression changed from skepticism to one of concern. "You're not the first person to come forward with a story like this," Detective Anderson confessed, his voice grave. "There have been reports of strange occurrences and disappearances in that area for years. We've been trying to investigate, but every time we get close, the evidence disappears." Jake's heart sank as he realized the depth of the darkness that lurked within the gas station. The horrors he had encountered were not isolated incidents, but part of a larger, more sinister pattern. Determined to help bring an end to the nightmares, he agreed to assist Detective Anderson in their investigation. Days turned into weeks as they delved deeper into the mysteries surrounding the gas station. They interviewed locals who had experienced strange phenomena and discovered a pattern of disappearances that had gone unnoticed. The town's residents lived in fear, whispering tales of a malevolent force that seemed to emanate from the gas station itself. Together, Jake and Detective Anderson gathered evidence and sought the assistance of experts in various fields. They uncovered the dark history of Mr. Foster, a reclusive scientist known for his unethical experiments. His obsession with bending the laws of nature had brought forth unimaginable horrors, which had now taken root in the gas station. Armed with this knowledge, Jake and Detective Anderson organized a raid on the gas station, accompanied by a team of seasoned officers. As they stormed the dilapidated building, they were met with a terrifying resistance. The remaining creatures, twisted and enraged, fought with ferocity to protect their lair. A fierce battle ensued, with gunfire and screams piercing the night. Ultimately, the officers managed to overpower the creatures and neutralize the threat. Jake watched in awe as the nightmares he had encountered were finally put to rest, their reign of terror coming to an end. In the aftermath, the gas station was sealed off, and Mr. Foster's dark experiments were brought to light. The town gradually began to heal from the wounds inflicted by the horrors that had plagued it for so long. Jake and Detective Anderson became local heroes, their bravery and determination recognized by the grateful community. However, the gas station would forever remain a haunting reminder of the darkness that lurks within the world. Its empty, decaying structure served as a warning to those who passed by, a stark reminder that even in the most ordinary places, unimaginable horrors can lie in wait. And so, the gas station became a cautionary tale, whispered among locals and shared as a warning to weary travelers. Its secrets would forever be locked away, hidden within the desolate corridors and abandoned cages, a chilling reminder that some nightmares are far too real to be forgotten. Story 2. The rain poured relentlessly, drenching the desolate highway as Sarah drove through the night. She had been on the road for hours, her tired eyes straining to stay focused on the slick pavement. The gas gauge hovered dangerously close to empty, and panic began to gnaw at her as she realized she had no choice but to find a nearby gas station. Through the sheets of rain, a dimly lit sign emerged from the darkness. Pass and go, it read, its flickering neon struggling against the storm. Sarah's heart leaped with relief as she steered her car into the small, run-down gas station. The old gas pumps rattled as she parked her car and jumped out into the pouring rain. A chill wind whipped through the empty lot, causing her to shiver. She hurried towards the flickering fluorescent lights that outlined the station's small convenience store. As she stepped inside, a musty scent assaulted her senses. The shelves were sparsely stocked, and the worn linoleum floor creaked beneath her feet. The store seemed frozen in time, caught between abandonment and neglect. Sarah glanced around, her unease growing. There was no attendant in sight, no other customers. The air hung heavy with an eerie silence, disturbed only by the rhythmic drumming of rain against the roof. She called out, her voice echoing through the empty aisles, but received no response. Pushing aside her growing unease, Sarah decided to refuel her car and quickly leave. She made her way to the lone pump outside, the rainwater cascading off her soaked hair and clothes. As she began pumping gas, a flicker of movement caught her eye, a figure standing at the far end of the lot, partially obscured by the rain. A shiver ran down Sarah's spine as she stared at the figure. It appeared to be a man, tall and hunched, wearing a tattered raincoat. He stood completely still, his face hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest, sensing something deeply unsettling about the stranger's presence. With her car now refueled, Sarah hurriedly got back inside and locked the doors. The rain continued to pound against the windows, drowning out any other sounds. She tried to dismiss her growing unease, reminding herself that the man was likely just another traveler seeking shelter from the storm. As the minutes ticked by, Sarah's anxiety refused to dissipate. She couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of being trapped in a place where danger lurked. The rain intensified, casting a murky gloom over the gas station, and Sarah's mind began to play tricks on her. She glanced at the security camera mounted near the entrance, hoping for some reassurance. But to her horror, the monitor displayed only static, no trace of the exterior, no evidence of the stranger's presence. Her heart raced as a deep sense of dread settled over her. Suddenly, a loud bang reverberated through the store, jolting Sarah from her thoughts. She jumped, her eyes darting around the room. The sound had come from the restroom at the back of the store. It was as if something heavy had fallen, or worse, someone had crashed into something in distress. Fear gripped her as she slowly approached the restroom. The rain drummed relentlessly against the roof, masking any other sounds. She cautiously pushed open the door, revealing a small, dimly lit space. The tiled floor was wet, and a flickering light bulb swung from the ceiling, casting eerie shadows. With trembling hands, Sarah reached for the light switch, flicking it on. Her breath caught in her throat as the room was bathed in an unsettling glow. The sink was splattered with blood, crimson streaks trailing down to the floor. Panic welled up within Sarah as she realized she was not alone in the restroom. A pair of muddy footprints led from the sink to one of the stalls. Heart pounding, she pushed open the stall door, the rusty hinges groaning in protest. Her eyes widened in terror at the sight that greeted her. A bloodied, lifeless body slumped against the stained toilet bowl. Its vacant eyes stared back at her, frozen in a haunting expression of fear and agony. Sarah stumbled backward, her mind reeling in disbelief and horror. She desperately fumbled for her phone, her trembling fingers struggling to dial for help. But as she brought the device to her ear, she was met with nothing but static. The rain-soaked environment seemed to interfere with any semblance of a signal. Realizing she was trapped, Sarah knew she had to escape the gas station. She sprinted back into the store, her heart pounding in her ears. But as she reached for the exit, she froze in her tracks. The figure she had seen earlier, the man in the tattered raincoat, now stood in the doorway, blocking her escape. The stranger's eyes bore into her soul, glimmering with an unsettling intensity. Sarah could sense the malevolence emanating from him, his presence suffocating her. Panic surged through her veins as she frantically searched for an alternative route, a way out of this nightmare. With every ounce of courage she could muster, Sarah turned and dashed towards the storage room at the back of the store. Her footsteps echoed in the empty space as she swung open the door, praying to find a hidden exit. But instead, she found a labyrinth of dusty shelves and forgotten supplies, an entrapment within an already claustrophobic nightmare. As she desperately navigated the maze-like room, the air grew heavier, suffused with an oppressive darkness. The flickering fluorescent lights overhead cast eerie shadows that seemed to dance and writhe. Whispers filled the air, whispering voices that taunted and tormented her. The further Sarah delved into the storage room, the more twisted it became. The shelves appeared to shift and rearrange themselves, blocking her path and disorienting her senses. Dread consumed her, as if the very walls of the gas station were conspiring against her. Exhausted and disoriented, Sarah stumbled upon a small wooden door at the far corner of the room. Desperation fueled her as she flung it open, hoping to find an escape. Instead, she found herself standing in a dimly lit basement, the air thick with the stench of decay. Rows of rusted cages lined the walls, their metal bars cold and foreboding. And within those cages, she saw then emaciated figures, their eyes vacant, their bodies scarred and broken. They reached out with bony hands, their weak cries for help drowned out by the relentless rain above. Sarah's heart broke at the sight of their suffering, their imprisonment mirroring her own. As she took a step forward, the tattered raincoat of the stranger brushed against her arm. She recoiled, her gaze meeting his once more. In his eyes, she saw a malevolence that defied comprehension, a darkness that reveled in the torment of others. Driven by desperation and a flicker of resilience, Sarah refused to succumb to the horrors that surrounded her. With newfound determination, she darted through the cages, unlocking them one by one, setting the prisoners free. Their frail bodies stumbled out of their confines, their gratitude palpable despite their weakened state. Together, they made their way up the creaking stairs, navigating the labyrinth of the gas station until they reached the main store once again. But as they emerged, a chilling realization dawned upon them. The rain had stopped, and the gas station was no longer abandoned. The empty parking lot now teemed with a congregation of shadowy figures, their faces obscured by darkness. The raincoat-clad stranger stood at the forefront, his menacing presence amplified by the gathering horde. They were trapped, surrounded on all sides, with no escape in sight. The figures closed in, their unnaturally slow movements only intensifying the fear that gripped Sarah and the newly liberated prisoners. They lunged forward with a malevolent hunger, their unearthly shrieks piercing the air. It was a horrific symphony of desperation and torment. Sarah and her newfound allies fought back with everything they had, but it seemed futile against the overwhelming odds. They were outnumbered, their strength waning with every passing moment. It was a battle they couldn't win, a battle against a force that thrived in the darkness. As hope waned and despair threatened to engulf them, a blinding light erupted from outside the gas station. The figures recoiled, shielding their eyes from the sudden illumination. Through squinted eyes, Sarah saw a group of armed individuals, their determined expressions radiating with resolve. They were a specialized task force led by Detective Rodriguez, who had been investigating the horrors surrounding the gas station for months. They had followed Sarah's trail, drawn by the signs of darkness that emanated from the cursed place. A fierce firefight erupted between the task force and the encroaching figures. Gunshots echoed through the night, punctuated by the screams of both the living and the damned. It was a battle for survival, a battle against an ancient evil that had plagued the gas station for far too long. In the chaos, Sarah and the remaining survivors seized the opportunity to escape. They fled through the battleground, pushing past the disoriented figures. Their adrenaline fueled their desperate sprint, their hearts pounding in their chests as they raced towards freedom. They burst through the gas station's shattered entrance, gasping for breath in the cool night air. The rain had ceased, leaving a sense of eerie calm in its wake. Sarah and the survivors stumbled into the waiting arms of Detective Rodriguez and his team, their expressions a mix of exhaustion and relief. The task force quickly secured the area, ensuring that the darkness that had plagued the gas station was contained. The survivors received medical attention and were escorted to safety, their harrowing ordeal etched into their souls forever. In the aftermath, the cursed gas station was condemned and marked as a site of unspeakable horrors. Its presence served as a chilling reminder that evil can manifest in the most unexpected places. Detective Rodriguez vowed to continue his investigation, to uncover the origins of the darkness that had plagued the gas station and to prevent it from ever resurfacing again. But the scars remained, both physical and emotional. Sarah, haunted by the memories of the gas station, resolved to use her experience as a driving force for change. She became an advocate for the victims of supernatural horrors, dedicating herself to raising awareness and seeking justice for those who had suffered at the hands of the malevolent forces that lurked in the shadows. And as for the gas station, it stood abandoned, a testament to the horrors that had unfolded within its walls. The rain continued to fall, washing away the remnants of its dark past, but the stains on the souls of those who had survived would never fade. Story 3. The sun had long set, casting a shroud of darkness over the lonely stretch of highway. Rain poured relentlessly, drenching the road as Sarah's car sputtered along, its engine struggling against the torrential downpour. The fuel gauge hovered dangerously close to empty, and a sense of urgency gripped her. Through the haze of rain, a dim glow emerged in the distance, a gas station, its neon sign flickering with a desperate plea for customers. Sarah's heart skipped a beat as she pulled into the station, her windshield wipers struggling to clear her vision. The gas station appeared worn and dilapidated, as if time had forgotten it. The gravel lot was littered with potholes, and the rusted pumps groaned under the weight of the rain. An ominous stillness permeated the air, sending a chill down Sarah's spine. Reluctantly, she stepped out of the car, her boots sinking into the muddy ground. A tattered awning provided little respite from the downpour as she made her way to the entrance of the small convenience store. The door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit interior. A sickly sweet smell of decay mingled with the aroma of stale coffee. Sarah's footsteps echoed through the empty store, the sound amplifying her unease. The shelves were sparsely stocked, their contents covered in a thick layer of dust. An eerie silence hung in the air, broken only by the rhythmic tapping of rain against the roof. Her eyes fell upon a flickering fluorescent light at the far end of the store, casting long, distorted shadows along the aisles. The hairs on the back of her neck stood on end as she felt a presence, something lurking in the darkness, watching her every move. "Hello," she called out, her voice quivering. The only response was the echo of her own words, bouncing off the empty shelves. Panic began to well up within her as she contemplated leaving, but desperation for fuel kept her rooted in place. As Sarah approached the counter, a sudden movement caught her eye, a figure standing still in the corner. It was a man, his silhouette obscured by a tattered raincoat and a wide-brimmed hat pulled low. She could sense his gaze fixed upon her, penetrating and unyielding. Uneasy, she tried to ignore the stranger and focus on her task. But as she picked up the nozzle and attempted to fuel her car, a sickening realization washed over her. The pump was devoid of any life-giving fuel. The tank remained empty, mocking her desperate situation. With a sinking feeling in her gut, Sarah turned back towards the store, hoping to find some answers. But the man in the raincoat was gone, vanished into thin air. Cold dread gripped her as she felt a presence closing in, a malevolence that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the gas station. Whispers filled the air, whispers that slithered through the aisles, dancing in harmony with the relentless rain. The shelves trembled, their contents rattling as if possessed by an unseen force. Sarah's heart raced, fear pulsating through every fiber of her being. She stumbled backward, her eyes darting around the store, searching for an exit. But to her horror, the entrance had vanished, replaced by a solid wall. The gas station had become a labyrinth, a prison that defied logic and trapped her within its suffocating grasp. Sarah's breath quickened as she ran down the aisles, their arrangement shifting and distorting before her eyes. Each turn she took led her deeper into a twisted maze, the oppressive darkness closing in, suffocating her spirit. Just as panic threatened to consume her, Sarah stumbled upon a small door tucked away in a corner of the store. It beckoned to her like a glimmer of hope in the encroaching darkness. Desperation pushed her forward as she grasped the doorknob and swung it open, revealing a narrow staircase leading downwards into a subterranean abyss. Without hesitation, she descended into the unknown, her trembling steps echoing against the damp stone walls. The air grew colder with each step, and a sense of foreboding settled deep within her bones. The flickering glow of a single light bulb guided her path, casting eerie shadows that danced along the tunnel. As she reached the bottom of the staircase, Sarah found herself in a dimly lit chamber. Cold, stale air clung to her skin, and the scent of dampness mingled with a metallic tang. The space was cluttered with rusted machinery, discarded gas canisters, and an array of long-forgotten tools. Curiosity mingled with fear as Sarah cautiously navigated through the maze of forgotten relics. It was then that she noticed a faint, flickering light emanating from a narrow corridor ahead. With trepidation, she followed the light, driven by an unexplainable force compelling her forward. The corridor led to a small room bathed in an ethereal glow. The walls were adorned with arcane symbols and disturbing murals, depicting grotesque creatures and nightmarish scenes. In the center of the room stood a decrepit altar, its surface stained with what appeared to be dried blood. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as she realized she had stumbled upon a place of sinister rituals, a sanctuary of unspeakable darkness. Dread washed over her, and an invisible presence seemed to press against her, whispering malevolent promises into her ears. A voice, raspy and suffused with malice, echoed through the chamber. "Welcome, Sarah," it hissed, the sound reverberating against the stone walls. "You've come to the heart of the gas station. where nightmares fueled the eternal darkness. Terror surged through Sarah's veins as she spun around, searching for the source of the voice. Shadows shifted and danced, taking form and contorting into monstrous shapes. The air crackled with a malefic energy, as if the very fabric of reality had been twisted in this unholy place. "You are chosen," the voice continued, weaving into her thoughts. "Sacrifice yourself, and the gas station will feast upon your fear, becoming a gateway to unimaginable power." Sarah's mind reeled, torn between the urge to flee and the inexplicable pull towards the darkness. But deep within her, a flicker of defiance ignited. With renewed resolve, she fought against the seductive whispers, refusing to succumb to the gas station's malevolent machinations. She sprinted through the chamber, blindly seeking an escape. The walls seemed to close in, the symbols on them pulsating with an otherworldly energy. She gasped for air, her lungs burning, as she desperately scrambled through the maze-like tunnels. Just as hope waned, Sarah stumbled upon a hidden passage, concealed behind a false wall. She pressed forward, her heart pounding in her ears, until she emerged into a moonlit clearing outside the gas station. Rain poured down, washing away the remnants of the unholy encounter. Sarah collapsed to the ground, her body trembling with exhaustion and relief. She looked back at the gas station, its facade twisted and distorted, no longer a beacon but a monument to terror. And as she gazed upon it, she made a vow to expose the evil that lurked within, to warn others of the dark forces that resided in the guise of a gas station. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah's harrowing experience became a beacon of truth amidst the sea of skepticism. Her story spread, capturing the attention of investigators and skeptics alike. The gas station became a subject of scrutiny, a symbol of inexplicable horror that defied rationality. Years later, the gas station stood condemned, its secrets locked away. The whispers of its malevolence echoed in the wind, a reminder of the darkness that had been vanquished but never truly eradicated. And as Sarah walked away, her mission fulfilled, she carried with her the scars of that fateful night, a testament to her strength, resilience, and the unyielding power of human will in the face of unimaginable terror.